Here, I just want to remind everybody that as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot over on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's absolutely no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and a whole lot more. You guys can go visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.
Is Aditi with us?
She is.
There she is.
What's up, Aditi?
That was a long read, Adam. You weren't letting him get through it? He, barely finished reading.
Yeah.
Adam's very impatient.
You ready to get going?
What are you talking about?
Bull's the one who told me to read it
dead
slower.
air for 5 seconds?
Is that what it was?
I mean, I don't know what you
Well, I'm just excited about tonight. Are you?
Am I excited about tonight? We're batshit crazy right now. It's amazing. I can't wait for this freaking game.
I can't believe it's still 8 hours till kickoff.
It can't
Did
come
you watch did you already talk about, and I'm sorry if you did you already talk about Amari Cooper sliming Joe Flacco?
Not yet.
No.
Oh, no, we didn't.
Is that
It was a great moment, though.
If you had told me this would happen, you have to see it. You've seen it, right?
Yeah, we've seen it. There's about 100 things that have happened to the Browns this year, including, yes, Amari Cooper sliming Joe Flacco. There's about 100 things that have happened this year that I could say, if you would have told me this would happen this year.
When I was at the Greenbrier, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
no, I mean,
right?
this is.
Joe Flacco and Dustin Hopkins being the two most important players on the team. Didn't see that coming.
I mean.
Oh, my goodness.
Aditi, we were asking. Here it is. Let's watch this now. Oh, we can't hear it? Just see it.
I mean, but look at that. It's not, Joe sounds a little goobery when he's talking, so you don't necessarily need the audio.
Yeah.
I can give you the play-by-play. It's
so
just the
gross.
idea of, quiet, serious Amari Cooper pouring slime on Joe Flacco.
Ugh.
And Flacco right here makes a joke about how it feels like hair gel.
Yeah.
Which could take it in a whole other direction.
All I can think about while watching this is how gross that is, and I wouldn't want it done to me. You know?
Yeah, what is the slime?
I wonder how it washes out. Does it? Does it destroy your
must. I don't think he would have
clothes,
done it
or
if
is
it didn't.
Yeah, no, it'll just wash.
If
And
Joe,
by the way, if
Joe
Amari
wasn't with
Cooper's
green
able
hair
to
today.
dump the slime on his head, he's got to play, right, Aditi? He's playing tonight, even though he's got a heel injury.
100%. He's not looking that happy if he's not playing.
No, exactly.
Not
moving
that that's
around
a
the
really
locker room.
scientific or informed decision. That's just my gut right there.
No,
Or
we're
my-
all with you. We think he's playing. He was
Yeah.
moving fine around the locker room yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean he's ready to play an NFL game because he was walking around the locker room.
He's going to play.
But
I don't think
I
we're
tend to think he's going to play.
But Aditi,
I mean,
let me
look,
ask you-
I was on the sideline for the Jets game last weekend. I will say that they play good defense. They do play good defense. So
they
there's
still
that.
gave up 28 points to one of the worst teams in football.
Well, and it took a long time. I mean, Sam Howell couldn't get anything going in the first half, couldn't get anything when he started the second half. It wasn't until your old friend Jacoby Brissett comes in that all of a sudden things start happening. But remember, when you have a huge lead, the Jets had a 20-point lead, and so you're playing a different defense when you're up that much, right? There was a little bit more of prevent going on, but then...
I hear you, but eventually, the Browns did that against the Texans, and the Texans started coming back a little, and then the Browns went back to playing serious defense, and it was over. The Jets could have done the same thing, and it didn't happen.
Yes, all fair points. I just feel like the Browns have a lot of mojo right now. The Browns are playing for things that really, really matter. This is what we talked about a month ago, where it was sort of yes, all these horrible, awful things have happened, but there are still these reasons that the playoffs are still in sight, and at some point you have to stop making excuses. And so, whatever, that's what this team has proven to be true.
Aditi, is Joe Flacco right now the most important player on the Browns?
Oh gosh, that's a tough question. Yes. Can I say yes?
I agree.
Although
Well,
I read
She officially breaks the tie, by the way.
This is-
a little sad.
It's been a blood war all week between Flacco and Myles. And Tyvis said it's Myles. I said Myles until Dorian went down because I have no faith in P.J. Walker.
You can't win a Super Bowl
whatsoever.
with P.J. Walker. The Browns right now, the way Flacco's playing, can win a Super Bowl. I
Wait,
believe
are we
that.
talking about big picture or today?
No,
Today
big
against
picture.
this Jets offense, Joe Flacco is more important than Myles Garrett.
No, I'm talking the
Because-
rest of the season.
From now through the end of the postseason.
Rest of the season.
You're the tiebreaker,
Yeah, I think
Aditi,
it's
by
more
the
about
way.
Flacco right now.
Yeah,
Because
I
you
agree.
are going to need some offense at some point. And Myles Garrett alone cannot throw this team or sack this team to victory, but Joe Flacco can. This is where, we have this whole conversation or argument about quarterbacks that are game managers and quarterbacks that can actually put a team on its shoulders. And we've seen Joe Flacco do that, right? We've seen Joe Flacco do that. Granted, it was 14 years ago, but the way that he's thrown the ball the last 3 weeks, the last 4 weeks, Joe Flacco right now is more important to this team and its aspirations at this point in the season moving forward.
We talked about this earlier, Aditi, but the Joe Flacco, Elijah Moore revenge game factor on the Jets. We all agreed that Flacco is a wily vet. He's not going to let too much go into that. But Elijah Moore, and you've been on the Elijah Moore train all season, is this finally the game that Elijah Moore has his monster breakout? This is why you traded a second-round pick for me performance.
Sure, why not? I've been saying the same thing every week. Like every week, you're like, "Is this the week? Why should I change now? Why?"
You're running out of time. We got 2 left.
Consistency.
But you know what? The piece about it that Joe Flacco is never going to force something at the expense of winning. But Joe Flacco is, when you say wily veteran, he is aware of this sort of thing. I mean, he was aware that Amari Cooper was within sight of hitting this number that hadn't been hit, and so, if it's possible within the parameters of what the Browns want to do and win, then yes, he's going to feed the ball that way. And I do feel that Joe Flacco has a lot of genuine appreciation for who Elijah Moore is. I think Elijah Moore has worked in every way, and a lot of it has to do with, sorry about that, how it all shakes out. I can definitely see Elijah Moore having a big game.
Yeah.
But of course, I've been saying that for 16 weeks now? Plus the preseason.
Why
change now?
This is my Mike Miller hill that you're dying on. When Mike Miller played on the Cavs, I was adamant Mike Miller's going to win the Cavs a playoff game. And he never did crap for the Cavs.
Okay, but I have more faith in Elijah Moore. At some point, Elijah Moore is going to make a truth teller out of me. That's what I think.
Could be tonight.
At some point.
I didn't realize you had the Jets last
Why not
week.
tonight?
I didn't realize you had the Jets game last week. So tell us something we didn't know about the Jets, or tell us something we should be watching for tonight with New York in town.
I do think that the defense is impressive. I can't say much about the offense. Breece Hall had a very nice game in the game that we did. He had 95 rush yards, 96 receiving yards. But there wasn't, Garrett Wilson is a really nice young player, and I had such a great time talking to him. As an Ohio State guy, I'm sure you're all very familiar with him. He's a young player who's obviously had a frustrating season, not because of what he's done or how he works, but because of the quarterback situation. But he's very mature. He's very heady. He makes the most of the opportunities that he has. The Jets did get the run game going better last week, which has sort of been a problem. So, obviously, as the Browns tell you every week, they have to stop the run first. But nothing you're seeing out of the quarterback position is really impressive. It's get something going against that defense. And remember that you're playing for something, and you're playing for something very, very significant. And the other guys are playing for pride, maybe, kind of, which gets some people far and others doesn't. So, it's a mismatch. And if the Browns are who we think the Browns are, they should go out there and make that statement, show the kind of team they are, and keep their foot on the gas pedal. That's it.
I agree.
Real quick, I just thought of this. Robert Saleh came out and said they don't have any regrets, I guess, of how they handled the Flacco situation. Do you think internally New York feels like they missed on this by not bringing him back? We were talking about it earlier. Joe didn't play particularly well last year outside the Browns game, and I thought they needed to make a decision on Zach Wilson once Rodgers went down, so I kind of understood, but they still could have brought Flacco back as the backup to Zach because nobody else was calling him. Do you think that they whiffed on this, or do you think that they're okay with how this played out for them?
I think, first of all, what else is Saleh going to say publicly,
exactly,
right? What else is he going to say other than there's no point in looking back and that there are no regrets? I think you make a really good point about Flacco not necessarily having this monstrous year a year ago, and I think that they probably thought, we don't need to bring an almost 40-year-old guy to be a mentor in the room because that's what Aaron Rodgers is. And their initial goal, their initial plan was that Zach Wilson, they weren't ready to give up on Zach Wilson. This idea was that Zach Wilson was going to learn under Aaron Rodgers. He was going to be mentored. He was going to get better. But then all of a sudden, Zach Wilson gets thrown in there before he's really fully ready. And I don't know. I think the way that what Hackett is doing, I don't know that Flacco was as obvious of a fit anyway. And it's way too easy right now to say, oh, we should have done this. It's the same way Washington is saying, well, you know what? We needed to see who Sam Howell was. We had to give Sam Howell every chance. But when Sam Howell started really slumping and pressing too much a few weeks ago, we should have gone to Jacoby Brissett. What you've seen the last 2 weeks makes that easy to say. But that's not, I mean, that's hindsight. That's the magic of hindsight. So in that moment, I'm willing to buy what Saleh said, that they really didn't consider it and they don't regret it and they made the best decision at that moment. But I'll also say something that I feel about Joe Flacco. And I think you wrote this to some degree, Jason, when you're telling everyone just enjoy the ride because this is all that it is. This is absolutely the perfect confluence of circumstances. When Joe Flacco came in, the type of offense that Kevin Stefanski likes to run, the way that Joe Flacco sort of takes direction or learns or works, Joe Flacco's personality for Amari Cooper's personality, Joe Flacco's personality for Alex Van Pelt's personality, Joe Flacco's personality for this team that is led by this defense. Like, this is just the perfect situation. I don't know that if the Jets called Joe Flacco a month ago, Joe Flacco is succeeding in the same way that he's succeeding right now in Cleveland with this team and this line. And I'll give you another one. The Jets last week started their 12th different offensive line combination. They have not had any sort of stability there. And I know that the Browns also lost their right tackle, lost their backup right tackle. Yes, obviously. But still, there has been some stability for that Browns line. The Jets haven't had any of that. So that's a big piece of it as well, I think.
We'll take the Flacco success. It's been awesome and great for us as a show producing content. Aditi, I'm going to give you
and that's all that matters.
Yes. I'm going to give you a
I mean,
question.
it is only about us. That's what it is. Like, every week I sit here and people talk about the games that I get, and I'm like, it's only about the storytelling that I want to do and how easy it is to get in and out of the city of where I'm going. Those are the key parameters here.
Well, if you're trying to get in and out of Cleveland tonight, it's going to be tough. You better get down to the Muni Lot now and be ready to leave before kickoff.
But don't I wish I could be there? Unfortunately, no.
Aditi, I'm going to give you two scenarios. You have to tell me. You can't say both. You have to pick one or the other, okay?
Okay.
What's more likely to happen? Myles Garrett wins Defensive Player of the Year or Stefanski wins Coach of the Year? Which one is more likely to be the outcome after Week 18?
I think Myles. And I'm not saying that that's fair or right. And I think that there's a very, very interesting, strong argument to be made for Micah Parsons. There's obviously a strong argument to be made for TJ Watt. I think that it will likely be a close race. I think that the Coach of the Year thing, I mean, I really think that Kevin Stefanski deserves it. I do, considering all of the players that were lost, the way that everything was held together, how he just has kept this team rolling. And this team never hung its head. Never, ever, ever. Not after Nick Chubb. Not after the in and out with Deshaun Watson and then the final out. Just never. But I think Coach of the Year is something that you see not necessarily go to the same person, if that makes sense. And it's been only, 3 years since Kevin won last?
Yep, that's been my point this whole time.
I just think that isn't that funny, Jason, that we kind of once again landed at the same point. But
which is so dumb, by the way.
If the Texans make the playoffs, I think people are going to be so excited by DeMeco Ryans turning around a team where nothing was expected and a rookie quarterback who's exceeded expectations. Right. And, in many ways, it was Kevin Stefanski winning it that year, that COVID year, taking a team that hadn't been to the playoffs in forever. So I just think that people kind of get suckered into sexier storylines. And for us, because we live here and we've spent our careers sort of, or at least the last decade of our careers in the AFC North, we know how significant what's happening in Cleveland is. But these awards are sometimes more about sort of national cachet. And I don't know that gets picked up quite as much in 31 other cities.
Aditi, you're 100% right. Myles Garrett is more likely to win, even though I would argue Kevin Stefanski clearly has the stronger case. In fact, I don't think there's an argument for another coach.
There's always guys you can choose from for Coach of the Year. There's Dan Campbell in Detroit,
McVay.
Mike McDaniel,
Right.
Sean McVay. There's always other.
I hear
there's
you.
easy slam
but if
dunks.
you look at it unbiasedly, there's no argument for anyone over Stefanski.
I totally agree with you.
And the fact that sports writers vote based on a sexy story is a shame on them. They're failing at their jobs. They're doing a
Okay,
poor
but this
job
is
at their
life,
job.
Adam. When is life fair? I mean, this is like, how did Mike McDaniel put it earlier in the year? If you're worrying about what's fair, then you've already lost. It's like yelling at thunder. That's what he said. It's like yelling at thunder. If you sit here and you say, well, this doesn't make sense, or this isn't fair, or this is not, we're not in a meritocracy. We're just not. And when you're in a subjective business, I mean, I know that there are people who sit here and say, oh yeah, sure, Kevin Stefanski has lost however many people to IR and how many stars, but he arguably has the deepest defensive roster in the NFL. So, like you could sit here and argue it however you want when it's ultimately a subjective thing. I agree with you, but I think sitting here and saying, well, it's not fair, like that's how these things work. It's all politics.
And that's fine. I ultimately don't care whether Kevin Stefanski wins Coach of the Year or not. I am all about doing what's right and leaving biases out of it. That's how I live my life. And I hate that that we should just accept it and should never do anything to change it. That is maybe the biggest flaw in our entire country, is that everybody's just okay with it not being a meritocracy.
Well, there is actually precedent to it. I looked this up the other day. I just looked it up again. Ron Rivera won it twice in 3 years, and Bruce Arians won it twice in 3 years, and it just so happened.
Ron Rivera's a terrible coach.
But didn't Bruce Arians win it at two different clubs, twice in 3 years, and two different teams?
Bruce. So it went Bruce in Indy, Ron in Carolina, Bruce in Arizona, Ron in Carolina. And I mean Belichick.
But you're talking about
times.
a decade ago. You're talking about a long time ago.
I think the only way Stefanski wins Coach of the Year is if they somehow end up as the number 1 seed. If that happens, if they win out, the Ravens lose out, unlikely, and then the Bills beat the Dolphins, the Browns would be the number 1 seed, and then you'd have to give it to them.
I agree with that. If they're the 1 seed, you have to give it to them.
Yeah.
But short of that, I don't think he's.
But I don't think that's going to happen. But if it does, I think they're going to have no choice.
I mean, that's fair. It's kind of like MVP, right? Don't you sit here and it's. In a lot of ways, you are quibbling, squabbling. It's what a voter values more than something else. But I can't disagree with you. I think that he is Coach of the Year. I think what he has done. And I also consider past baggage in that formula and everything that you have to upend and deal with.
Right.
And all of that matters to me, but I'm not a voter. So
apparently they're building a new wing onto the studio.
I don't know what's happening
for the Brown Super Bowl trophy that's incoming. Can you hear that?
Hey, whoever's hammering upstairs, stop doing it. We're doing a TV show
There's
here.
literally like construction going on.
Hammering for another 38
I can't hear
minutes.
that. I mean, all I know is that I hear when people are tossing water bottles into garbage cans. So
They took the garbage away.
First of all, that was mostly Jay,
And
a
me.
little bit of Jason.
They took the garbage can away because the children couldn't behave themselves.
By the
Just so
way,
you wouldn't
Aditi,
do it
who would you vote for MVP if you had a vote?
Oh gosh, I haven't thought about this one enough.
Tough
So
one.
it's hard to argue. For me, it is really hard to argue. I hate that it's a position that is so biased toward the quarterback, but it's like you asking me about the Joe Flacco, Myles Garrett thing. Joe Flacco touches the ball on every single play, every single offensive play, unless you're running a wildcat. But basically, every single offensive play, your quarterback is touching the ball. And you rely on your quarterback for so many things. Getting in and out of the right play, setting the right protection, whether it's making the proper pitch or throwing an accurate ball, whatever, all of those things, to be the leader in the huddle, everything. So it's hard to look away from Brock Purdy and the way that he's playing. And I understand that he's not necessarily making the game-breaking play
And he
that
had a
Lamar
terrible
Jackson
game this
is.
past weekend.
Okay, so again,
Yeah.
and he also didn't have a great game against the Browns.
Yeah.
It's hard to look away from what Brock Purdy has done. And I also don't think that calling someone a game manager is the worst thing. Because I'll take you to what Bill Belichick was saying to us weeks and weeks ago. We were talking about Tua. It was the week that the Dolphins were playing the Patriots. And I had asked Belichick, when you look at Tua, what's sort of the biggest area of growth since you first saw him? And he said, he's doing the best job getting the ball to the right guy in the right place at the right time. And he said, yards are not about the quarterback. They're about, nobody gets yards. The way that Belichick said it is, nobody gets yards until the ball is actually in their hands. And he was comparing Tua to Brady to a good point guard. And the example he used is, if your guy hits a great three at the baseline, then why are you feeding him a three at the top of the key? Keep feeding him the threes at the baseline, and that's where he'll be money. And he said the best quarterbacks know who to get the ball to, when to get them the ball, and where to get them the ball. So that essentially is saying game manager is not a bad thing.
Right.
But up until now, it would be hard to argue against Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
But what Lamar did, the way that Lamar is playing, the fact that Lamar is in a brand new offense with brand new wide receivers, and yes, we can say they're talented, but there is certainly a growth curve in all of that. The way that Lamar constantly gets knocked and just keeps producing, and the fact that Lamar can indeed carry his team, that he is not just a smart, heady quarterback, but he is also a game breaker. I think right now I'd have to go with Lamar.
I was thinking Lamar. I actually think I want to see how the last 2 weeks play out. I think you can make a very strong case for Josh Allen,
Yeah.
who kind of got buried early in the season because he didn't play great early. He's got 40 total touchdowns.
It's like 8 more than anyone else in football.
Way more than Lamar
Also
has.
hard to argue. Also had to adjust to a new offensive coordinator in the middle of the season. I would say it would be much better for him that they finally, that it was a long overdue move sort of to go to Joe Brady right there and move on from Ken Dorsey. I agree with you. But again, I think the end of the season really matters here. And again, do you see it as a summary of 18 total weeks, or is it the team that's playing the best when you want them to play the best? Is it someone who has overcome something? And in a lot of ways, Josh Allen carried a team that at one point looked like it was dead.
Yeah.
And does not necessarily have the benefit of the same type of defense that Lamar Jackson does.
Right. Now, I do think Lamar and Josh Allen are asked to do more at that position than any other quarterbacks. Those two guys.
Yes.
I think have more on their shoulders than any. I think it's between the two of them for me, but we'll see. All right, Aditi, enjoy the game. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you as always.
All right.
Thank you.
Can't wait, guys.
Bye.
Have fun.
Bye.
Be safe in that Muni lot.
It's going to be fun.
Who would you guys vote for right now before we get to the draft here?
Lamar.
Lamar.
You're not considering Josh Allen.
Well, you said who'd I vote for?
Lamar.
I would vote for Lamar.
Lamar's got Josh Allen. I think has 15 more touchdowns than Lamar.
Just because I said Lamar doesn't mean I didn't consider Josh Allen. I just said Lamar. I'd vote for Lamar.
Very
Two-time
close.
MVP if he wins it.
Yeah, I know.
See, that's a narrative that. Are you comfortable with Lamar as a two-time MVP?
He's having the best year.
Is he having a better year than Josh Allen? By what?
His team success.
But it's not a team award.
Yeah.
I think he's the MVP, but I'm not stamping. I'm not writing it in pen.
Yeah.
It is thin pencil.
What if the
line.
Bills end up winning the AFC East, which they very well could?
Well, then we'll revisit this in 2 weeks.
Okay. All right, Anthony.